Well, hello students. We're almost getting there. We're very, very close to starting uh, to learn more about the divine triangle and finally learning where all this come from. And so this module might have a little bit of history, and we're gonna talk about symbols and symbology of numbers. And of course, you might learn something about, geometry, then not necessarily covering math per se, but just learning where all these knowledge come from. So the symbology of numbers is universal. It contains eternal principles that cannot be modified by human will. Every manifestation is the product of the single digits of 1 through 9, which we covered before. And from before Babylonian times, of course, this is more than 5,000 years ago. And of course, we say Babylonian times because we don't have any, we have Sumerian tablets and other things that were written in Chaldean and Sumerian, but before that, nothing has survived that we know of written text. And so geometry was used as a visual tool by the spirit world, as you can see here in this illustration. So we can uncover any information needed to promote our understanding of ourselves and the world around us and in our evolution. An occult axiom states that God geometrizes, or God uses geometry. So many ideas that are presented here in this module have been accepted for ages. Some are relatively recent, we're still finding information about them, and others are just resurfacing for the first time because not necessarily we know all the different connections. Part of our history has been missing. So I'm going to present them to you so you can make sense here of them, and we're going to go into our blackboard and we're going to explain how symbology comes into play. And so we're gonna go to the blackboard and hopefully we can see the different shapes. So let me go into the blackboard here, and I'm going to delete all this, and we're going to start doing the shapes so you can see hopefully the 3D shapes might work in here. So we can best begin by delineating the 4 basic shapes, and of course we learned this in school. And the 4 shapes are important because they form a numerical foundation for all numbers and shapes. So the number 1 is the circle. I know mine looks more like a potato, but that's supposed to be a circle. And number 2 is 2 lines. And then 3, of course, is a triangle. And number 4 is the square. Now the circle represents the Godhead in history. All that was, is, and ever shall be. The Spirit and the I Am. Because normally it's delineated as love because it enfolds and contains and balances everything. However you turn it, it maintains its shape. It was also in history used as the word justice because it is in a state of perfect balance. A circle contains 360 degrees. And this is important because the symbology attached to it, we normally learn that, of course, the circle contains 360 degrees. But what they don't teach in school is that 3 plus 6 plus 0 equals 9. And 9 is the highest and final digit in the series of single digits. When multiplied by another number, the result always reduces again to 9. So for example, if you have 2 times 9, And bear with me, we're going through the multiplication tables here. And we divide this number by 9, we get 9. If we do 3 times 9, we get 27. So everything can be divided again by 9, and we can do the same 4 times 9 and so on. So a circle has no beginning and no end, is infinite and endless. And if you have read Revelations 1:11, the Lord said, "I'm the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end." The circle symbolizes eternity and the immortality of the soul. And this is seen through the laws of nature and cyclicity. So planets revolve around the sun in a circular pattern. Nature repeats itself in cycles. And if we travel far enough out into space, we arrive at the same point from which we started. Or so scientists claim. The God energy is elliptical around. It goes on and on, never ending. Behind the altar in many churches hangs the symbol of the cross, surmounted on the God symbol or circle. Just put attention to that. We have symbols everywhere. Now, let's talk about number 2 and the vertical lines, which symbolizes the spirit descending into matter or energy leaving the Godhead. It has a masculine quality, is outgoing, dynamic, energetic, upright, and commanding. Every energy has an opposing polarity, and the horizontal line is such a symbol in relation to the vertical line. So in number 2, the horizontal line represents the soul energy or the feminine, which has receptive and absorptive qualities of Mother Earth. The line is also an ancient symbol for matter and the material world. Now the triangle depicted here is the first closed form that can be made with single lines. The triangle appears everywhere. I mean, think about the US dollar. The triangle represents the Trinity, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost, or Father, Mother, God, as we know that they might have some pagan origins. It is also interpreted as the spirit, the soul, and the mind, the superconscious, the subconscious, and the conscious. So as you can see, as we evolution in culture, how we've been using all those different 3 or 4 different descriptions. You probably have heard, and the triangle in geometry captures the axiom as above, so below. And it is part of the Star of David and the Philosopher's Diamond. And we have here what they call the Star of David. I apologize, I have to make this better. And so the upper triangle of the Philosopher's Diamond is the Father, Mother, God, which is reflected in the lower inverted triangle, Father, Mother, Child. The upper triangle is the world of the spirit, and the lower triangle is the world of matter. The Godhead from above is reflected in the material world below. Therefore, and this is really important because it's something that we hear a lot right now in different books, different authors coming out with this supposedly new idea, but this idea has been around for more than 5,000 years. What we see in the material world is merely a reflection of the truth. It's as if we are gazing into the depths of a cool forest pool, thinking the images we see are only the truth, although these images may be distorted by the wind rippling the surface of the water. The truth is, we live in a world of illusion, and we normally view things upside down. Now, geometry validates the theory that we only see half of the truth. So, the following are mathematical truths. The sum of the angles of a triangle is 180 degrees. The sum of the angles of a square is 360 degrees. And a circle contains 360 degrees. I always ask my students when we study the golden ratio, is this a coincidence? I guess you can make your mind for yourself after, knowing a little bit more about the history of the different shapes. The square is the second perfect shape that can be drawn with single lines. It is symbolic of Earth. The 4 appears in a number of ways. The 4 points of the cross, the 40 days, which is an elevated 4, spent by Christ in the desert fighting earthly temptations, salt crystallizing in cubes and other geometric shapes that appear in nature. There are a few, and these are a few, of references relating to 4 of the earth. You can find probably more. The 4 sides of the square represent the 4 parts of the individual, with the physical body added to the triangle of mind, soul, and spirit. Now, a spirit has a soul, a mind, and a body in which to work in the material world. When we, and let me show you this other shape here. This is called the philosopher's diamond. When we do this, we arrive at what we call in math a parallelogram, which, like the circle, contains 360 degrees of all truths. This shows that complete attainment and fulfillment are possible here on earth in the physical body, because the circle and the square both contain 360 degrees. So, the old philosophy tells us that a spirit is contained within the body, just as the triangle preceded the square and is contained within it. Our body belongs to the earth, but our soul belongs to the spirit. A spirit, it is said to be immortal, because, as we have shown, the triangle existed before and independently of the square. The square is totally dependent upon the triangle, because the square is built upon it, following the natural order of things. The spirit cannot operate in the physical world with a material body, but it can operate in other worlds and dimensions. The material body contains and must reflect the Godhead for completion and fulfillment in the material world. The truth is that if we examine the philosopher's diamond, this reveals deeper truths. So, esoteric tradition teaches us that the upper triangle is fire and the lower triangle is water. We link fire to the spirit with such expressions as the living flame, the eternal flame, and the Bible speaks of the burning bush and the fiery fingers that etch the 10 Commandments of Moses' table. Likewise, water and emotions are synonymous. We weep tears when we're emotional, happy, or sad. Our common expressions equate water with emotions in phrases such as rough sailing, stormy seas, waves of feeling engulf him, and so on. The moon, which controls the tides, also affects the stability of human emotions. A spirit is linked to the mind and the head area, where the pineal and pituitary glands, the father and mother centers, are located. The watery emotions are centered in the heart. We are told that the lion shall lie down with the lamb. What we are being promised is that Leo, the lion, ruler of the heart, shall lie with the lamb, or Aries, the ram, ruler of the head. So we should have peace with when the head and the heart are brought into perfect balance. This analysis of geometrical forms has been a preparation for you to learn about the delineation of the divine triangle, the basis of which is the Pythagorean theorem. The explanation of the blueprint of the divine triangle, which we're going to show in the next module, can describe the magnitude and destiny of our lives. The blueprint, as you will see, let me show you how it looks like. I'm gonna go into the next slide for you. As you can see here, we have the geometry of the divine triangle on the left hand side. The cross is also part of the divine triangle. The spirit descends into matter as shown in the illustration. We as human beings are stationed at the corner point where the two lines of the cross meet. As you can see, it says enter here. At this point, we're recipients of the cosmic energy, and these points represent an aspect of consciousness. Stay with me as we're going to start working on the geometry of the divine triangle so you can find your blueprint for your life from birth all the way until 81 years old. I'll see you then.